talking about my story, I feel like some of you know, or some of you don't. I first want to talk about detours because, speaking of which, this was the very first conference I ever presented at, ever, in 2014 in Kansas City, Missouri. And at that time, all I knew was I just created a one-woman show about my life, and people were coming up to me saying how it inspired them in some way. And, oh, I should be a speaker, I should share with people. So I started Googling, like, you know, conferences, healing, speaking, arts. And I came across this website, and I'd never seen calls for proposals or learning objectives. What is that? And by some miracle, I got in touch with Terry and Karen, and they welcomed me into this world of the Transformative Language Arts Network, which I knew nothing about. And ever since then, I've been following this amazing community and just learning that, wow, I'm not the only person that has this feeling that the arts can heal you in some way that medicine can't. You know, so when you're alone thinking that, when you're literally alone in isolation, you really think you're the only one thinking that. But this really opened up a world for me. So it's kind of a full circle moment to be here. When I remember being in the Unity Village, Kansas City, Missouri, seeing the keynote. So I wanted to thank you all for being here and welcome. And welcome. So, like, yay for the conference ahead. So yay. So I guess now I'll do the keynote now. But so wow. So thank you. I'm here. I want to start with my story because that, you know, I talked about it in the workshop this morning. You know, life happens and you go through a lot of stuff. And while you're going through it, you don't really know how it's going to come together or that it has to. And once you find a way maybe to see how that's come together and made you who you are, then something else pulls from under you. And you're like, all right, I just built that up. Where do I go now? That's how my life started. You know, I grew up pretty much knowing I wanted to do musical theater, and I just felt very fortunate that, wow, I'm really young and focused, and I have a drive. So I'm just going to study musical theater and move right to New York, and that will be great. My first detour really started by, you know, studying voice lessons in New York with a voice coach. I was a huge fan of, and became a real mentor in my life, you know, from, you know, ages 15 to 17. We both had this huge, profound love of nature and trees, of all things. And, you know, by the time I was 17, I was sexually abused for months. And I did not know what that was. I was so innocent, even for a 17-year-old. You know, I was just so driven to, you know, theater, and that's what I want to do, that I went into, I froze, and I just remember completely, or not remembering, but I felt like I had left my body and was in this very numb kind of haze where actually my realization was I was always very inspired, I always had this childlike wonder, and I was always very inspired by trees. Like, trees were like my romance as like a kid. You know, I would walk around them and write songs about them and just dream about them. And nature walks were like my time where I could be like my in-the-moment teen, like I'm meditating. And I just remember I could feel a shift in me when, you know, the next week I was home and I tried taking a nature walk, and like I wasn't connecting in the same way, like my heart wasn't open. And so I remember the feeling of like not being able to access this place. And so I felt all this energy, and it just, came through my feet. So all I could focus on was just mechanical, like, okay, I'm just gonna walk in circles. And that was kind of my way of just numbing out, like I'll just, keep going in straight lines. And I thought, like, what, I didn't know who I was anymore. Like, what do I do? So I didn't even, I thought like sexual abuse and things like that, those don't happen to things like me. You see those on Dateline, but that's not like, that just doesn't happen. So I could have never like kind of put those two worlds together. And what I've realized in all of this is sometimes it takes a really long time for you to find the words for things, and then sometimes words can be helpful where you hear words and they somehow strike you in some way and bring something into your awareness. So I find, like, for me, a big summary of the expressive arts for me is I've kind of dipped into all different mediums, dance, art, song, text, based on what's hit me. And it hasn't always been what I've predicted, or like when I'm like, why can't I write about this, or why can't I sing about this? I felt like there's some kind of energy in me that needs to be released, but it's not always in the mode that I think it is. But the mode I knew that wasn't healthy was just taking that energy and becoming a robot. Okay, I just gotta, get this out of me some way. But the first time that realization really struck me that, wow, maybe this sexual abuse thing, there is some kind of connection, was, I was going through Barnes and Noble, just, walking through the aisles, doing my usual routine, and this is a moment in my show where I'm, looking at like the healing and spirituality section, and I'm looking at all these like healing books, and I don't really know why, and I see that, that yellow cover, The Courage to Heal, and I'm like, oh, that's weird, The Courage to Heal, and I take out for survivors of sexual assault, and I literally laughed out loud, like, that's like I just read something about like, all right, did you just commit a murder or something? And I put it back. But something obviously rang out to me, and so I happened to flip through it and flip through the pages of symptoms. And it was like, I feel numb, I feel out of body, and all these words were, I didn't really know anything about mental health. I didn't know labels, but they all felt like right, because I was a dancer. I was used to feeling these things, and I'm like, as I'm looking through that list, it was like a Hallmark movie moment where I'm like, oh my God, that, and then I started to connect things, and for me, that was an important step for me. But then after that, it really felt like that consciousness, like now I was carrying a secret that I didn't know what to do with, because in those days, because I'm 31, back in the day, no one was talking about any of this stuff. So I just kept that and didn't really know what to do with it until I finally told my mother, and this is a scene in a play that I've just workshopped, and I just I expected her to be shocked and overreact and how about you, because it's what do you do with this? And I shook her and I said, like, just stop right now, because like everything around me right now feels so like terrible that I just need you to tell me like something like positive, like here, like right now. And so she ended up saying, the sky is blue. And that's actually a song that's in one of my new shows right now, and a scene, because it's something that always stands out for me, that like in that really dark moment, we were able to find some kind of, commonality, some kind of container to find something to move us forward. So anyway, trying to do the cliff notes of my story. But then 2 weeks later, that's when I started just getting in a lot of stomach pain. And we had a big Passover that was going to be like our symbolic way of like redemption. We're starting on, or we're moving on, and then, my stomach just got more and more distended. And my dad took me to the ER, and I got sepsis, and so basically I got to the operating room, and my stomach literally exploded. It hit the ceiling of the operating room, which could have been a stress ulcer, it could have been a blood clot that sat on the mesenteric artery thrombosis, medical stuff terms I should know better by now. But I woke up from a coma, months later, when I thought I was going right back to high school. It was April of my senior year, wondering like, what just, went on. I'm in a hospital, and people are looking at me saying that, oh, I look so much better now, and oh, you've come a long way, and I've already had, 10 surgeries, and then I get, from the doctors, I still remember the day when I was alert enough that, the resident told me, yeah, they took out your stomach, you don't have a digestive system, you can't eat or drink, and we don't know if that will ever happen. And I still remember saying like, so like when will it happen? And he just, he said, I don't know. And I still remember exactly, the nod and where, and his look and just, not knowing what to do. Anyway, we found, my family stayed in the ICU with me, and we found ways of being creative. Even there, my brothers played guitar, and as soon as I got my tracheotomy out, we started singing. I tried tap dancing as soon as I could get up, and that's when I stepped on one of my wires, and they had to get it put back in again that day. So anyway, I was discharged, months later, but still with no game plan. I still didn't have a digestive system, and what took so long was not only for my insides to heal, but we had to find a surgeon creative enough to figure out a way to kind of create a makeshift digestive system when there was so little intestine and so little left. So it ended up being, 3 years before I could, eat or drink, and then my first reconstructive surgery, and then a total of about 6 or 7 years without being able to eat. So anyway, I mean, this isn't, I talk about my whole medical story. So I'm going to stop right there. Let me get to where that's So anyway, I want to, So I want to talk about some of, the gifts that I found from these little stops that not only were like blessings, but they also got me through, because, I get that doctors can't give you certainty, and they won't give you hope, which I still have a problem with, but I realized like the gift, as an artist, and I say that as like, I really think we're all artists, and like I was saying in the workshop this morning, creativity is really like a mindset that I was kind of innocent and stubborn enough to keep for my whole life. It's just